Howdy folks, Alcrex here, and welcome to episode 71 from Thoughts from the Inner Sphere from the Mercenary Commander's point of view. Yes, we're going to be delving once again into the 3039 book, and today we're going to be talking about the Hatamoto-Chi. Well, to be honest with you, it's one mech that I've never used. I have never picked up this mech and used it on the battlefield. Mostly because I'd rather use a thug, to be honest with you. So, but that doesn't mean we can't look at it and just try to figure out what's the best way to use this thing. Because I've used the thug many times and I prefer the thug. But we can look at the weapon systems and just figure out what's the best way to use this guy. Now, the mech is a 80-ton mech. It's a 460, doesn't have jump jets. Carries around 17 heat sinks. It has 232 points of armor, which I think is like maybe 14 or 15 short. Something like that. So basically 1 ton. Alright, its weapon systems. We have 2 PPCs, 1 in each arm. We have an SRM6 in each torso, right and left torso, with 1 ton of ammo. Now the thug has an extra ton of ammo, and it has all these extra things like Indo Steel and double heat sinks, which makes it a much better mech, and it's from the Star League. And so you can basically find a Star League mech running around still through 3025 or 3039 using Star League technology. But, alright. The Hatamoto-Chi is a mech that has been new design. Basically what they did was Comstar dropped off a whole bunch of new mechs and gave them to the Draconius Combine, and they left some thugs in there with Star League technology, and they turned around and go, what can we do with all this new and improved technology? So they decided to take the Charger chassis and basically redesign it. And what they did was slow the darn thing down and put 2 PPCs on it and 2 SRMs, and basically turned a crappy mech into a pretty decent mech, just put it bluntly. So if I would never played the thug before, I wouldn't mind playing this mech. It's not that bad. Just from the sheer fact that it has some good firepower. It can do some direct fire with the 2 PPCs, but there's the one caveat, is those heat sinks. Yeah, you have 17 of them, so if you fire both PPCs and you don't move, you're going up 3 in the heat scale. If you walk, you go up 4. If you had ran, you're going up 5, which means, well, you're into that -1 movement modifier. And you're probably going to go, I don't think I'm going to do that. If you're a good pilot, you're probably just going to walk and fire 2. And then the next turn, you're going to fire 1, cool off. You know how that drill goes. But, now, the interesting thing I do like about this mech is that it has those 2 SRM6s. And what the 2 SRM6s... when you're firing the 2 PPCs, you're going to be doing 10-point shots. And you have a good chance if you're just walking slowly up, or better yet, if you find yourself like a heavy wood hex, or if you're playing open terrain with something designated as heavy woods, and you park yourself in there, you don't have to move, and you can just fire away, fire 2 PPCs, fire 1 PPC, fire 2, 1, go back and forth. And you're able to rip a lot of armor off. Not to mention you're going to be working in conjunction probably with the rest of your lance mates and tearing somebody up a new one, and then you're going to be, okay, opportunities, most of the armor's off these guys, got some open spots, and guess what? The best thing to do when you got a lot of open armor, looking at, that's internal structure, is you go in there with the guys with the SRMs and start hammering away with those things. When you have 2 SRM6s, and if you get lucky with the hammering away and you get 2 hits and suddenly you get 12 SRM hits, you have a good chance of doing some crits. And when you get crits, you are knocking out heat sinks, which can heat a mech up even more, or you're hitting ammo, or you're taking out weapons. If you hit the ammo, sayonara, you just left a crater where there used to be a mech. Because typically, it's not until another 11, 12 years down the road when you're looking at new and improved technology in the 3050 book, which heck we don't know about yet because we haven't reached that point yet. You're going to be tearing up a mech and just watching it detonate, turn into a crater. Because if you hit somebody with an autocannon ammo, they have a bay of say 8 left and it's an AC-10, well, yeah, that's 80 points. There's not many mechs that can handle 80 points of damage, starting off with the internal structure and then moving from there, working its way into the internals. Center torso, nope, not happening. They're gonna go gone. Now, another thing what you can do is, alright, you got the 2 SRMs, that's going to be 8 heat, and that leaves you 9 heat left to play with. So you can fire the 2 SRMs and a PPC if you're within 9 with no problem. Now, I have a tendency, if I'm, say, the 7 to 9 range, I might actually just fire the 2 PPCs because that's a better shot. I'd rather do the 2 10-shotters than trying to hit with the SRM, which is at the long range. Now, if I move into the medium range with that SRMs, yeah, I'm going to be taking some shots with those. I'm going to shut 1 PPC off and then hammering away with those 2 and a PPC. And let's say that's 18 heat. We're back to that little thing where, okay, if you walked, you're going to go up 2 on a heat scale. You could do that for 2 turns with no problem. Now, on the 3rd turn, your choice of the matter is, are you going to fire just 1 SRM to cool off a little bit, or are you going to shut off the PPC? Most people are probably going to shut off a SRM and then hit with the PPC and an SRM, and then the next turn go back to it for a couple turns and then shut something else off. If you're a pilot that likes to keep their mech kind of cool. Now, if you're one of those crazy lunatics that likes to ignore the heat scale and just suddenly cooking, remember, you do have ammo on this mech. And just go back to previous where you get you're trying to hit somebody with a crit in their ammo bay. Yeah, it's going to be you that's going to be turning into a crater. And your pilot's going to be hitting the ejection button, or actually the automatic ejection button as the ammo goes off, and they're going to be flying into the atmosphere, trying to escape the fireball underneath their tail. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You know, we've talked about pretty much everything you can do with this mech. All right, let's see if there's any variants. They took advantage of the roomy of the Charger to create a plethora of variants. Okay, mounting LRM launchers instead of SRM launchers. Well, let's see. We're looking at pretty much LRM5s. Okay, I'd rather just keep the SRMs. Even though 2 LRM5s would make it into kind of a fire support mech in a way, but you're going to be running hot. You can't do that for very long because you're going to have to shut something off. Back to the one thing where you fire 2 PPs and the LRMs, you're going to be frying. Yep, you're going to be post-toasty. So that's pretty much it for that one. Now, what would I do with this one? Not much. I kind of leave it the way it is. I'd just be waiting for another few years down the road. Now, if you play games where you're playing 3050, yeah, there's plenty you can do with this, and the 3050 mech is even better, for that matter. But we'll be talking about that one when we get to that book. And that's pretty much it. That's this mech in a nutshell is, this is a kind of a dual-purpose fire support ripper mech, where you're going to try to rip armor off somebody, and then you're going to dive in and try to crit somebody to death when you got the opportunity. Now, this mech does have, let's see, one of them, one of the arms is missing a, you got a hand actuator there that's on one arm, and then you got the so basically what you're going to be doing is, if you're trying to think about a mech like this that you want to melee with, I don't know, you might be better off either trying just to kick, because if you're close enough to, you're going to fire that PPC, you're going to be firing with a -2 at this era, and due to range constraints. So therefore, you're probably better off just kicking. Just plain and simple. And yeah, that's all I can say about that. Now, what else can you do with this mech? What would be work in conjunction with it? Let's make a, if you had a couple like a Warhammer, this would work good with a Warhammer mech. Let's see what else. There's something that might, Archer would look good, because if you put this mech into a kind of like a fire support lance, where you got a lot of direct fire and some indirect fire weapons with it, this mech would actually work best as, it could do the fire support, direct fire support role, where you're laying down direct fire, and then if somebody tries to close in on your mechs, this would be the mech that you'd use to intercept them and get in close, because you got those SRMs where it's best off to begin with. And with all the firepower you're probably going to have in that lance, whoever they're going to intercept and pick as their first target for those SRMs, yeah, they're going to be a hurting unit. This plain and simple. You know, that's kind of like how I would look at it, and working with it in that way. Now, other than that, that's pretty much everything I can think about this mech. If you got any games that you've used this thing, to be honest with you, I can't remember, other than a few games at Gen Con where I actually seen one of these when we were playing again in scenarios against the Draconians combined. House Karita, they were on the other side, and I've never used one that I could think of. And yeah, so it's your mileage may vary. Mine is pretty limited. All right, you guys have a good one, and we'll talk with you later.